Internets, hello you lovelies. Let's talk about Agatha episode 6, an episode I enjoyed quite a bit more than episode 5. If you're new to this page, I do comic book news, comic book reviews, the coverage of the actual books, as well as movie news and movie reviews, and in some cases TV, and this is one of those cases where it is a show that I am about 50-50 split on. As far as episode to episode, some work for me, some don't. And this was a really interesting episode because it's effectively a bottle episode. This episode in itself is meant to be contained, and that was actually something that I think was a strength. That gave me something to attach to because I've been saying from the beginning, I don't find any connection to these characters until they give them the episode where they're about to end their arc. And that doesn't really work for me. Like, I love Deborah Jo Rupp because I love that 70s show, but I didn't really care about her. And when she died, it was so unceremonious. And I am a little worried that in this episode, 2 other witches seem to have died unceremoniously, but the only episode I've loved was episode 4 because I felt like we really connected to that episode's lead, and I loved the concept of the witch's spell feeling like music ties us all together, it protects us, it's that emotional through line, and this was the closest to that for me as an episode. Episode 4 is the episode I would point to as the strengths of Agatha All Along overall. Second, I would point to this episode because we haven't really gotten to know William/Billy yet. By the nature of the show, he hasn't been able to reveal his identity. That's been one of the big mysteries. And one of the things I didn't love about 5 was when they revealed him, it was like, oh, okay. And here, I still felt that, and I think it's odd that the body he found's name was the same as his name, and that feels like it's a bit, I don't know, the coincidence is odd because you could have named him anything. And you could have had him go by his name throughout the thing because it didn't reveal anything. If they'd been like, oh, he's William Kaplan, I'd be like, cool. Like, it doesn't automatically make me go Billy Maximoff. But that said, I did enjoy the mystery of this episode since we know he's Wiccan, how this came to be, how this tied into the incident in Westview, how this all is leading to him being Wanda Maximoff's son. That was all well and good. I did enjoy that. And his actual story made me enjoy Joe Locke's performance more. It is tricky for me to be 6 episodes into a show to finally care about a character, and I didn't find myself caring as much about Wiccan as I wanted to. I said last week that I assumed he was Wiccan all along, but it took me until this episode to care, and I love Wiccan in the comic books. I love Hulkling in the comic books. I care about Speed some, not quite as much. I feel like Tommy doesn't get quite as much to do as Billy. Hopefully that changes in the show. It's funny that Tommy's the one of the twins in the comics that is like, he's doing stuff. And in the show, he's like, we're going to find Tommy. And I bet his name's going to be Thomas. But I really am curious now that I'm invested in the character, if the show turns around for me. I really am curious if now that it's down to Agatha, who I'm invested in from the show, and Wanda, if this starts working. But it's 6 episodes in and it's just starting to find its footing a little bit more to me. Every episode has had that theme. It's been, 70s and 80s. This episode I really dug was that American Horror Story flavor, and it brought us Ralph Bohner. The bone is back. Ralph Bohner is an interesting choice because it was so full of vitriol. Like, I do not think that was received as everyone wanted. So it was an interesting thing to do an American Horror Story thing and get your boy Evan Peters to be in there. That's fun. That's cheeky. I respect that. I do feel like the storylines have gotten to the point where the mystery for mystery's sake does work with a character like that. I'm one of those 7 people on the planet that liked the Trevor Slattery twist. I really thought it was cheeky and fun, especially the character like the Mandarin that is so dated. So to bring back Ralph Bohner took some balls and a boner, and I respect that. This show is hitting for me when it hits, but I really hope by the time it all lands, I care about all the witches in the coven. If they're alive still. Are they dead? Do we believe that? So my questions are, why did the body have to be named William if it did, or if that's a weird writing coincidence? Why was the cop the witch that we know? Was that one of her many jobs because she had jobs? Why did that feel like it was all like a mislead, especially that cop moment, if it's just going to be a flashback to his story to explain who he was? These are all things that people are going to be like, you should have watched and paid attention. I'm sure it's been spelled out, but I'm literally asking. Let me know in the comments below. Was she mentioned to be a cop before she, was working at Hot Topic? What a pay grade difference. I overall am excited to finish the show. I wasn't last week. I overall love that the writing here felt real. I really bought even the scene in the first episode that I didn't buy that time, I bought this time. I actually liked recontextualizing the True Detective stuff. The acting's still a little hokey for my type of campy, but it worked recontextualizing it, seeing it from Mer's perspective, changing the angle. That all really worked for me. But I really hope that we land on a tone that makes the whole show feel resolute, as opposed to WandaVision, which had an amazing 5 episodes and then like the last one. So I hope it lands well. I'm hopeful for this show. Again, it's still not hitting on all cylinders for me, but this episode was. The love between him and his boyfriend, I thought, was fantastically written. When you're a kid and you've got a crush, there's nothing scarier than what you're going to say, except what you're accidentally going to think. And to read someone's mind and have all those hormones and trying to figure out, like, oh my God, how do I tell them that was adorable? What a great way to introduce that kind of trauma and that kind of mind power. And I really liked that with his parents and everything else. So that all really worked for me. This episode, solid 7, as compared to some of the other ones that weren't for me. I really hope it lands, and I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know in the comments below how this episode worked for you. I think Joe Locke found a bit of that, like, oomph that I was looking for from Wiccan throughout. I think that Agatha genuinely feels like a threat. I think that I missed Aubrey Plaza. Rio wasn't here, and I missed her dearly. I do think we're going to find out next episode who she is. I think Tommy might be at the end of the road, but I think Mephisto might be there too. We'll find out together. Leave a like in this video. Leave a comment below. Hit that subscription bell. We're so close to 36K. I appreciate each and every one of you that follows me on my page. I know I'm everywhere on the internet, but growing my own page means a lot. So thank you for being here. Much love. I will see you guys soon for episode 7 next week. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully if I can edit it in time, for a bunch of spooky comics. 'Tis the season. I talk about horror comics with David Desmalchin, and that David Desmalchin conversation is so fun because it's 2 minutes with David and then I break down comics, and he actually talks about some of the writers that I talk about in my review, and I didn't know. Like, it was completely separate incidents. That's a lot of fun. I also talk about one of his books, and he didn't know that I loved it so much. So tomorrow, if all goes well, David Desmalchin conversation, and then basically all next week is Venom-tastic. I'm doing an Out of the Theater Venom review on Monday. I'm doing a Venom non-spoiler Wednesday. I'm doing a full Venom spoiler on Friday. Between that, you get a This Week in Comics, and of course, Penguin episode 5. So stay tuned, because there's stuff coming out literally every single day on this channel. I'm so very tired. That said, I do love that not everyone, I do love that 80% of people were respectful for my not liking Agatha All Along to date. And this episode, me enjoying it, hopefully tends to some wounds, some people that didn't like that I didn't like it. So we'll find out together. Much love. I'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned for next week, all the Venom stuff, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you. Bye, guys.